My name is Stacey Flowers and I am a student of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University and on a journey to become 100% debt-free. My starting debt is $208,453. I currently work part-time, earning anywhere between $800 and $1,000 a month, and I am on baby step number 1 to save $500. In this video, I'm going to do a Q&A where I'm answering some of the frequently asked questions that people have had since our journey, and I believe there are like 6 to 8 questions. So if you're interested in getting some of the most frequent questions that I'm finding in the comments and in the community on my Instagram and on YouTube, please stay tuned. It's a couple of different reasons. Primarily, and I mentioned this before, I am recovering from getting very, very sick at the top of 2017 and spending majority of that year very ill. And in me recovering from being sick and healing, I do not want to stress myself out physically, emotionally, or mentally. And typically full-time work comes with full-time stress. And even if I was working a full-time job that was a low-stress full-time job, it still would be particularly taxing on my body. And I have to just be very mindful of that right now at this particular phase in my healing process. So that's really the primary reason, is that like my number one priority is my overall well-being and health, and a part-time job supports my overall well-being and health. But the second reason why I'm working part-time is because I have every intention in returning to my company full-time. And a lot of people watching this journey, I would never want to give people the impression that, oh, if you work part-time, you're going to be able to pay off all your debt. It's like, no, that's not my long-term goal. That is my most immediate goal, is to just generate income, because I have past experiences that have taught me that I can be successful in business and entrepreneurship, and I have every intention in returning to that and making my company viable again. So and as that happens, the same level of transparency that I've been having with my numbers for my part-time job and other sources, I'll have that same level of transparency with my company. I've actually had my hair low like this for 10 years now. We're 2018. I cut it in 2008. 2008 going into 2009. So my hair has been low like this for a decade. And the short story is I went home. I was in grad school and I went home one weekend, and my hair was very unhealthy. I was really stressed out, and my hair, I was natural, and my hair was like in like a fro or a puff or whatever. And it was really unhealthy and just falling out all over the place. And I remember my mom seeing it, and she was just like, Stacey, you really need to cut your hair. And I was just like, Mom, I can't, I'm gonna look like a boy. This is bad, da-da-da-da. And the short story is, she told me that I would look like America's Next Top Model. And I believed her. And so I cut it. And deep down on the inside, I've always wanted to be a model. So yeah, that's why I cut my hair. In general, I'm not a person who handles criticism very well. Like, I don't particularly care for criticism. And my default with respect to criticism is that I do not accept criticism from people who are not creating equal to or greater than something that I've created. So, for example, I am getting on YouTube, recording a video, putting my shame and my issues and my difficulties and my blind spots out there for me to learn, but also for me to serve other people. So when people come in the comments and they say something critical, if you haven't created something that's equivalent or better than me, I don't absorb it, because I'm like, you're not in the game. You don't know what it's like to be doing what I'm doing. You may have an opinion and you may have a thought about how I should be doing it, but until you show me your numbers, until you show me how much money you have in your savings account and the fact that you're living debt-free and you don't have any financial blind spots, there's not really, I just don't absorb it as much. So that's sort of the initial thing, is criticize me. But the second thing also too is that the relationship that I believe that I have with other people, and I think just because this is a part of my work and I've just done a lot of research and I've had a lot of practice with it, is that we are all mirroring each other. And so when someone like shows up in my comments and they're like, you're an idiot, you're stupid, like this is ridiculous, you're not going anywhere, and they're really being like very mean or very evil, that to me is not a reflection of me. that is me reflecting something in them that they don't like. So for example, when I'm posting my video about my money, the fact that you're reacting so emotional, because I say this in almost every video, money is emotional, right? But the fact that you're having this emotional response to a total stranger is not an indication of me being an idiot and me not believing in myself. It is an indication that I am doing something that is bumping up against a belief or an issue that you have. I'm literally reflecting back to you something about yourself that you don't want to see. Hence your extreme emotional reaction. Because if you think about it, it's not your money. It's not you. Like, you're, for the most part, everyone watching my videos, you're a total stranger. What I do with $10 or $10,000 literally has no impact on your life. But the way you respond, you are responding as if I'm literally taking that money out of your pocket. And so when I see that, and I see the really big reactions, I'm like, oh, I need to respond to this person with compassion, because I know what it feels like to feel that ashamed of my financial situation. I know what it feels like to be that confused about my financial situation. I know what it feels like to be that scared, because some people, the really, really evil ones, like, that's just fear. Like, that's like word fear, like, because again, it's not your money. So you need to do this and I can't believe you. That's fear. Like, your fear response, like, that is you are sharing with me how deeply afraid you are in yourself, and you hope to never make the mistakes that I'm making, right? Like, inside of you, you're like, I'll never be in that place. I'll never be that girl. I'll never act like that. I'll never be that stupid. But the fact of the matter is if you believe that, if you knew that, if you had certainty, if you knew in your heart of hearts that this was not an issue for you, okay, stop. That this was not an issue for you, it would roll off your back. You would just be like, oh, okay, this story sucks for her, but I'm glad I'm not in that situation. But there's something about my story that is a reflection of your story that is overwhelming. And so because I've done the work and I understand that in terms of relationships and people who are attracted to you, it's all about attraction. You couldn't be attracted to me unless there was something about me that was attractive, that was just like you. And it may not be the whole story, it may be remnants of the story, but my knee jerk is to respond with compassion, because I know what it feels like to be ashamed, to be afraid, to be embarrassed, and to be confused. I know what that feels like. And so before I see any of the before I see any of the hate, any of the criticism, I really just see the fear and the shame and all these negative feelings that I'm really trying to dismantle and demystify about doing my journey publicly. Are you kidding me right now? Okay, give me a second. I think somebody has to go to the bathroom. Come on. I really believe that I'm going to do it. And I believe it because what I know from several decades of earning money is that that money in general, that money can be managed. And when you manage money, you would be surprised at what you can tell what you can do with your money. And I think that you guys all see that when you see my videos and I'm like, yeah, I made $800, but I paid my rent and I ate some food. And like, people are like, how are you doing this on $800? And the truth is, it's simply because I'm managing it. The number one reason I won't get on government aid is because I spent my whole entire childhood, adolescence, and teenage years on public assistance. And I understand that it is a generational sort of a thing. So I grew up on public assistance. And then I got pregnant when I was 17, and I was on public assistance for the first 5 years of my son's life. And I remember the first time that I went in to actually apply for public assistance, and it wasn't a good feeling. And I remember deciding at I was probably still pregnant with my son, maybe pregnant with him, or a couple of months after being pregnant with him. I just was like, I can't be on this for the rest of my life. Like, I can't do this. For me, this just doesn't make any sense. And at the time, I hadn't been accepted to college, but I am the first person in my family to graduate from high school and then subsequently go to college. But I just remember making a decision that it would be for a limited time, and I didn't know what that limited time was, and so I sort of prayed about it. And then when I got accepted into college, I was like, oh, okay, government aid is supposed to assist you temporarily for you to be able to get on your feet, or for you to be able to be self-sufficient. Like, that's the point. Like, the point is not to live on it for the rest of your life. It's really supposed to aid you in a crisis or in a difficult financial season, etc. And so I decided that I would allow myself to take advantage of government aid for the true reason that it is there during my time period while I was getting my degree. And I said, after I have my bachelor's degree, although a bachelor's degree doesn't immediately translate into financial independence or into self-sufficiency, I felt like once I had that level of education, it was my responsibility to figure things out from there. And because I didn't want to continue the generational financial plan of being on government assistance, I knew that I would need to end my dependency on government assistance so that my son would not grow up with that mentality or that financial blueprint, because that's very much a part of my financial blueprint. And so at this point in my life, especially since I know how much I'm able to earn, especially since I want to keep the promise that I made to myself, which is that it would be limited to a bachelor's degree, I'm unwilling to get government assistance. Even in this particular crisis, even in this particular season, I know better. And although this crisis and although my medical condition is serious and real, I am capable of getting out of it, and I'm pacing myself. The pace that I'm going, I don't have to go at this pace. I'm choosing to go at this pace. And so long as there's still space for me to make a choice, I don't personally feel like it is right for me to be on government assistance when, one, I know what those programs are truly used for. Two, getting off government assistance was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do in my life. Like, it is not a system that makes it easy to no longer rely on it. And, I'm capable, but I'm pacing myself. And at this time, I can't share the details. And that's for a number of reasons. Primarily because, you guys, it's my real family. Like, regardless of what you may think about my decision to allow my entire immediate family to live with me, and regardless of what how things should be, that is not the way that it played out in 2016. And I have not worked through the inner work and the behind the scenes work enough to know fully what part I played in that whole scenario without blaming and shaming my family. And I'm not going to do that, because they were going through their stuff too. And at the same time, I can't make excuses for them. And the last thing that I would want is to come on here and share the details, and then you guys say something, and then I feel an overwhelming need to protect them. Because then, this whole journey, this whole point, this whole sharing, it becomes useless, because I'm now in protection mode. And if I'm in protection mode, I will not be forthcoming. And I want to be forthcoming because I want the accountability. Yeah. So details may come, but if they come, they will come in time. And I do, and in no way do I think that you're being nosy or intrusive. I get why you want to know, because it's almost like if I had the detail, then we could understand. And I feel like I'm trying to do my best to help you to connect the dots and to see the tapestry of the family issues that I have and how that plays out in my financial blueprint and how that impacts my journey to become debt free. Because that is what this is about, right? Like, the context for what I will talk about with my family is rooted in my financial blueprint. But I'm not just gonna come on and la 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 about my family and there's no context for it. That's not healthy. That's not right. I wouldn't recommend that anyone does it. But I do understand that I'm giving you guys dots, and you want to be able to connect the dots and know specifically what you're looking at. But you can't get that. You got to follow the journey. I don't even know specifically what I'm looking at. So following the journey will aid you in being able to get a clear picture. And details will come, but they will come when there is nothing but honor and love and understanding that is able to be communicated. So that's that. So those are the frequently asked questions. I want you guys to keep asking me questions in the comments. What I will do is try to compile anywhere from 5 to 7 questions a month and get those answered. As you all know, I'm responding directly to you all in the comments, but I do think that some of your questions that you asked, they're so good that everyone could benefit from being able to see them in a video format. So if there's anything that you want me to answer, you know, as of the listening to this video, for the most part, my family is off limits, but any aspect of my finances, details of numbers, any sort of detail about finances that you guys were like, man, I wish she would say this, just let me know. I'm an open book when it comes to that. Like, because shame will not live here anymore. Like, I will not be silent about any of it. So any sort of details that you feel like I'm leaving out there, feel free to ask. And any other questions in general, just feel free to ask, and I will compile them and answer them for you sometime next month. But until then, thank you so much for supporting my work. I deeply appreciate you guys. You have no idea. And if you like this video, please like it and subscribe and share with all your friends. I will talk to you very soon.